Hi, Ryan. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'd love to start by just getting a good understanding of your background. You're currently running RSL Financial Services. If you could give us a broader picture of your business and how you run, and perhaps just an overarching idea of your investment philosophy.
I've been in the industry now 25 years. My independence is everything to me. So I run a small little family-owned business. But I joined Liberty Life back in 2000, so 25 years ago. Learned the ropes as a broker consultant. I was then headhunted to go into another practice. And that's when I started financial planning. I got very tired of what I call vanilla way of investing, where it's certain brand names that you put together because they sound good and the results are just they're not there.
Mm-hmm. And I guess that's kind of leads me to my next question of how did you hear about hedge funds and more specifically Peregrine Capital?
Yeah. So I think it was the advertising. You know, I like the colour yellow, and so I was attracted to it. Learned a lot more about that, and that's when I allocated my own capital to it, and I was absolutely astounded by the results from our own capital. And then obviously COVID hit back in 2020, and the deciding factor there was I looked at my own investments versus some of my clients' investments as well. There was quite a big differentiation between the actual growth. And then I decided to go through the process of being licensed and then allocating small amounts of capital, client capital to investments. And yeah, it's been an absolutely amazing thing ever since.
And just in terms of the licensing process, how did that work out for you? Was it quite onerous, or was it quite a seamless process?
For me, it was actually quite a seamless process. I know the media and word of mouth make it seem a lot more stringent than it actually is. But thank you to Peregrine, they helped me with the licensing process along with my compliance officer. And the fact that I'd been investing my own capital for 5 years, the FSCA decided, well, they kind of liked that idea. So from a mentorship, I was running my own mentorship program there. It was an easy process. You have to pay your fee, obviously, and it takes about 3 to 4 months, and then you're either going to get the license or you're not going to get the license. But for me, Peregrine Capital really did help me along the way.
Okay, brilliant. And I know from quite a few years ago, you were looking more broadly at other hedge fund managers. What was it about Peregrine that really stood out to you? And I know you mentioned the long-standing track record. We are the first hedge fund managers in South Africa. But are there any other differentiating factors for you that made you invest in Peregrine Capital?
Definitely. After doing a lot of research between the different managers and Peregrine and allocating my own capital once again, which helped me a lot, what really stood out is the consistency of downside protection, consistency of upside growth as well. And for me, the more conservativeness of Peregrine compared to some of the other managers, that won me over. But, if you just look at the fund fact sheet, the retrospective growth is there. And I will say that the retrospective growth over 27 or 25 years has been absolutely phenomenal. But that's not why I use Peregrine. It's really the downside protection and the consistency of that protection.
Okay, brilliant. Because one of my questions was, with your client base, what is your philosophy to manage their wealth?
For me, it's more the downside protection during the bad times, because I believe if you protect on the downside, the upward growth going full, that'll take care of itself. And I've proved that numerous times.
And has there been any specific client stories that you can share with us where it has worked out, where you've been a little stuck in terms of a strategy, where the Peregrine Capital Funds has kind of made sense to help with that downside protection?
There are lots of different stories, individual, but from a holistic point of view, I think 2020, Putin invades Ukraine. We go into one of the world's biggest market crashes, and I just looked at the downside protection that Peregrine, alongside some of the other funds that I use, was absolutely phenomenal. But from a success story, I think it's quite fun. I've had quite a few clients that are very analytical, and those analytical clients now are some of my biggest clients.
How did they gain comfort in the hedge funds, in the Peregrine Capital Funds?
My clients, they range from mechanics all the way to CEOs, everything in between as well. But what I found is my clients trust me. They quite inexperienced as well, but they trust me. So generally what I suggest to them is what they're actually going to put into their portfolios. But then the track record, downside protection, it just wins them over. Before I started allocating capital to clients, I took the time just to educate myself. educate, I saw value in it. I then gained confidence from that, and sitting in front of a client, I'm very passionate about, in particular, hedge fund strategies, in particular Peregrine.
And in terms of the education around the hedge fund asset class, what would you say to a new advisor that is looking at the asset class and perhaps is a bit more reluctant to invest?
So for me, what I did is I tested my own money. I took 5 years of testing my own money before I allocated 1 cent of client capital to that. And when I've got skin in the game, that's how I learn, I understand, I did the research, and I became very passionate about that. So for a new advisor, or for an advisor that's thinking about getting into the hedge fund industry, I strongly recommend it. If you're thinking about it, I would strongly recommend sort of dealing with Peregrine Capital as a starting point.
And now, many years down the line, we form a large part of your solutions. What kind of allocation would you say is a good allocation to see some downside protection and help with enhancing the return profile?
Yeah. I'm going to say that up to 40% of capital within any investment structure, in my opinion, should be allocated to a basket of hedge funds. The way that I operate is from the 40%, probably 50% of that is allocated to the 2 Peregrine Capital hedge funds.
Okay, perfect. No, thank you so much for that insight, and thanks for your ongoing support, Ryan.
Yeah, pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity.